Hi, everyone. My name is Yang Wu, Open Resources Librarian at Clemson University Libraries in South Carolina. And my presentation is about building interdisciplinary and multi-institutional collaboration to support large grant-funded projects to develop OER materials. Major grant-funded OER development projects are increasingly common nowadays. They are driven by a desire to create more innovative OER materials that can fill major gap areas in OER and to meet the learning needs of students from many backgrounds. In fact, there is a growing number of sources of funding for these projects. However, grant funders want to develop OER that can generate the most savings for students and educational impact. As a result, they often require interdisciplinary and multi-institutional collaboration on these projects. And this creates many issues in project and team management for such projects. And I just want to share some lessons from one example. My first year experience in managing a 3-year Department of Education funded project to develop 3 OER textbooks on robotics, a major gap area in OER for the technical college, undergraduate, and graduate levels. And I serve as the principal investigator for this project. I think our project is innovative in many ways because it seeks to develop OER materials for many different types of institutions and levels of study. The textbooks being developed also contain a number of innovative features to support student learning. Firstly, the textbooks are available in 2 formats, a print and e-format, to offer students flexibility. Secondly, they are also developed to support workforce development. Because of this, the textbooks contain interactive animations and simulations showing applications of robotics concepts from the textbooks in actual workplace situations. Thirdly, to support student personal learning, the textbooks also contain interactive questions on robotics that give students instant feedback. To support the learning of students in areas with low internet bandwidth, the textbooks, the ancillary materials that come with them, can also be either viewed online or downloaded for offline use. Lastly, to support the learning of students from many different backgrounds, the textbooks and their ancillary materials will also be based on accessibility, universal, and inclusive design principles. However, developing these complex OER materials requires collaboration by people from a variety of disciplines and professions. These include engineering, computer science, library science, professional publishing, instructional design, and educational research. It also requires collaboration by people working in different types of higher educational institutions. There are many potential causes behind project and team management issues in large grant-funded OER development projects. In my case, they came from how the project team was created. In 2020, I was asked by the dean of my libraries to develop a major OER creation project funded by the Department of Education's Open Textbook Pilot Grant Program. After some networking, I found that the engineering dean at my institution had an idea for robotics OER materials. With help from the deans, I contacted 2 other deans, one from an HBCU, a minority-serving institution, and another from a technical college, and both of them were also very passionate about developing robotics OER materials. With their help, I wrote and submitted a grant application to the Department of Education. And in 2021, I was awarded close to $760,000 by the Department of Education for this project. The deans played a major role in the grant proposal. An OER expert, I had no background in robotics or engineering, The Dean of Engineering came up with a broader vision for the project. He and the other deans also assigned experts from many interdisciplinary fields at their institutions to work with me in writing the grant proposal. These people helped me fill out the details of a larger project and grant proposal that I had developed. I think the success of the grant came from the interdisciplinary nature of the project. We also had multi-institutional collaboration from different types of institutions of higher learning, serving different populations of students. Lastly, we had very strong institutional support from the various deans involved. However, managing a project was very different from writing a grant, and there are many complexities. Firstly, our ambitious project had several components which had to work together and often simultaneously to ensure the successful completion of the textbooks and supporting materials. These include writing of the textbooks, development of interactive activities and other ancillary materials, instructional design, educational research, as well as a professional publishing component. To achieve all that we aim for, we also had to have a large project team of over 20 faculty, staff, students, assistants from the 3 institutions. As the project started, I noticed several issues. One of these is authority. This resulted from the top-down nature in which the project was started. The different project team members were asked to take part in the project by their deans. They were from different institutions and didn't have a history of working together. Many of them also had no experience working with people outside of their disciplines or professions. Not being a robotics expert, I also had some difficulties understanding some of the project team members and what they did. There was also an issue of motivation. Since we had a very large project team, we couldn't give each project member a very high salary. The different institutions involved also didn't have any non-monetary incentives for the different project team members, such as linking their OER creation work to tenure or promotion. On top of this, we also had to work under a very tight 3-year deadline. Responding to this, I took an approach of learning through doing in my project management. I experimented with various approaches in working with team members, learning from my experiences and adjusting. At the same time, I also actively explored various things, such as project management strategies, the design of robotics and engineering textbooks. I sought to better understand what each project member does, and I learned team management techniques as well. In project management, I settled on an approach to creating OER materials called Agile. Developed for the software industry in the 1990s, Agile emphasizes 4 things. One is an incremental approach to developing a product. Agile argues that products should be developed one small piece or section at a time and be constantly reviewed. This allows a product, its design, contents, and resource allocation, as well as plans for completing the product, to be continuously adjusted and improved. It also calls for close communications between project team members on the development of the product through frequent meetings. I found this approach useful because I'm still learning about developing textbooks on robotics, and I needed to better understand the different team members through interactions and meetings with them. What I also liked about Agile was that it had very simple implementation structures. there are only two leadership or project management roles. One was the product owner, who guides the development of the product, sets tasks, priorities, deliverables, establishes a timeline for completing them, monitors progress, and allocates resources. Another was the Scrum Manager or the facilitator, who facilitates meetings, conducts team building, and fosters shared norms and expectations. The two roles work with and meet closely with the project team, and the product owner adjusts the project work based on the work being produced. In the first year of the project, I took on both roles to better understand the project and team dynamics. As work on the project got going, I began to appreciate the incremental approach of Agile. Since there were several unexpected tasks, delays, and cost issues, which led us to readjust the project design and allocation of resources. Since there were many components of the project working together, I found that I often had to adjust the priority and allocation of resources to the different components based on issues encountered in implementing them, their relationship to pushing forward other components, and their greater importance to the project as a whole. For example, in the early phases of the project, textbook writing, instructional design, and ancillary material development might be more important. Towards the end of the project, publishing and educational research may become more important, while other components become less relevant. Overall, the project is going well, and we are on track to complete the writing and ancillary material development for one of the three textbooks at the end of year one. However, I also noticed many team management issues. For example, much of the thinking for the project has been done by some members. While project members on the whole are actively participating in the project, some are not active thinkers and seem to be deferring and following orders from others. I became concerned that some may not feel included, or that there may be motivation issues or power structures in the team creating this issue. There was also the issue of building interdisciplinary understanding amongst the project team. Project members from many backgrounds, disciplines, and professions tend to be speaking in different disciplinary terminologies and often have difficulty making others understand what they are talking about. Because members had communication issues, some also lacked a bigger sense of what the project is about and its goals. All this made me feel that we need to build a sense of understanding between the project team members and to get all members to feel that they are part of an encouraging project team. I began to address these issues later in year one by applying the team management component of Agile, strategic doing. Strategic doing is useful to the project because it is designed to facilitate collaboration in loosely connected networks. And basically, our project is a loosely connected network of people from different disciplines, professions, and institutions. Strategic doing enables quick, action-oriented collaborations with flexible adjustments in project teams. It is about building trust, civility, and equity in interdisciplinary teams. Lastly, strategic doing has a unique approach to leadership. It emphasizes having a leader set the direction of the project. However, strategic doing also argues that the leader must be responsive to the input of different members and also include all project members in discussions. Strategic doing, in addition, is about adding purpose to team interactions, increasing participation of members in the team by getting them to explore what assets they can offer to the project. It is as well about establishing fair norms of communication and conflict resolution within the project team to facilitate more participation by all project members. Lastly, strategic doing seeks to foster shared understanding of the project by all project members, as well as getting project members to learn more about each other. Strategic doing in action is a number of approaches aimed at generating positive teamwork and a shared vision at the start of a major project undertaking. One of the approaches is to ask the entire project team a framing question before starting them on a big and complex task, like writing a textbook. A framing question is a positive, simple question that starts a discussion. It can be like, as an instructor, what would a robotics textbook that meets all your teaching needs look like and include? The simple question makes people aware of the larger goals of the project in easy to understand terms, and answering it encourages everyone to speak out. A facilitator guides the framing questions and can gradually turn them into more specific questions about how to accomplish a task within a limited time period. More specific framing questions can also encourage all project team members to think about how they can contribute to the project and its tasks using their particular skills, how they can work together, and the facilitator can assign people specific responsibilities and tasks based on the discussion. What is helpful about framing questions is that they can encourage general dialogue, getting people to speak without their specific disciplinary language. Strategic doing also includes strategies for making sure that nobody dominates the conversations and that everyone has an opportunity to speak out. I found that strategic doing approaches help to improve the shared understanding of the project and its goals among project members, and it encouraged more input from them on the textbook design. However, there are other hurdles that need to be addressed. One is that team management and facilitation can be hard to plan. Being an introverted person, I also found that implementing facilitation of discussions can be challenging from time to time. A possible solution to this is to hire a professional facilitator for the project, and to do so as early in the project as possible. Applying Agile took a lot of time, both on my part and that of the other project team members, who were often occupied with a lot of other things. I must simplify workflows for the project and reduce the time spent in planning and reporting. But it is possible that strategic doing approaches, which foster greater collaboration and shared understanding among team members, would improve work efficiency. Lastly, I found that even with all my efforts, maintaining motivation among members of the project when they are not heavily incentivized is also a challenge. Perhaps I can connect with the different deans behind the project and use this to encourage institutional change on OER at their respective colleges and universities, such as making participation in OER creation projects a part of tenure and promotion. All this is from one project, which may be distinct from others in many ways, but I hope my presentation highlights the issues involved in large, interdisciplinary, and multi-institutional OER development projects, such as learning to work with people from different backgrounds, building effective team collaboration, overcoming disciplinary communication barriers, and some project and team management strategies for dealing with these issues. With major grant-funded OER development projects involving people from many disciplines and institutions becoming more common, I hope that greater attention will be paid to managing them, and team building to support their effective execution. Thank you very much. Any questions, comments?